something. Girls need love. Girls need love. Girls need love. Girls need love. So what's a girl to do? She needs love. Some girls need love. Girls can't never say they want it. Girls can't never say how. Girls can't never say they need it. Girls can't never say nah. Girls can't never say they want it. Girls can't never say how. Girls can't never say they need it. Girls can't never say nah. Oh nah. Give it to me like you need it, baby. Want you to hear me screaming, have it breathing. I don't need a reason, baby. I want it till you get right. I can get it to you right, baby. I wanna be in your lane. I can be real good. We don't get these feelings. Hey, I need some love.
Queen Tulsa, baby. Your favorite shade, your hottest tea, and your headline queen. The Wendy Williams of YouTube, iconic, epic, and always petty when I need to be. Queen Tulsa, I'm the queen of YouTube. I'm the Wendy Williams of YouTube. Treat me right, I'll treat you right. Treat me wrong, I'll treat you wrong. Hit that like, I don't bite. Hit that like, I promise you'll like. Cameras on, baby, I control the stage. Every headline bends when I set the page. Hot topics burn, I deliver with grace. Shady little smirk while I give you faith. From the gossip rooms to the YouTube fight. Turn petty words into sleepless nights. If I say it stops here, then it's all through. No one drops tea like I do. I'm the queen of YouTube. I'm the Wendy Williams of YouTube. Treat me right, I'll treat you right. Treat me wrong, I'll treat you wrong. Hit that like, I don't bite. Hit that like, I promise you'll like. Like and subscribe, let the numbers climb. Serving raw truth with a touch of divine. Breaking news, baby, I say it bold. Every word drips, hotter than gold. Discussing cases, I keep receipts. I'm a boss in heels with the fire and heat. You want the tea, I'll pour it smooth. I'm Queen Tulsa, baby, I set the mold. Sweet on the lips, but sharp when I speak. Petty when I want. But my shade unique. Iconic, epic, I reign supreme. Queen Tulsa, the boss, I'm the headline queen. Don't get it twisted, baby. You came for the gossip, but you stayed for the queen. I don't chase views, views chase me. Now sip that tea, and don't forget to hit that like. Queen Tulsa, I'm the queen of YouTube. I'm the Wendy Williams of YouTube. Treat me right, I'll treat you right. Treat me wrong, I'll treat you wrong. Hit that like, I don't bite. Hit that like, I promise you like. And remember, if I say it stops here, it stops here.
Hello. Thank you all for coming by. We are up late. I'm trying something different. This is actually going to be our after dark. It comes to light with Queen Tulsa. So it's going to be late night, overnight for everybody that wants to get their late night tea. Maybe somebody is working overnight and stories that you missed during the week, or with your other content creators and you want something live. So we're here for you. All right, so this particular document that I have up right now, I want to welcome everybody in. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the things, all the housekeeping. You know what it is. We're going to get into this. I decided that I was going to do some investigations, right? Okay, so I decided that I was going to do some investigations, and I did so. So I found this lawsuit, Latham versus Mark Epstein, the 1953 trust. This is against a lot of people. So it's Charlene Latham. I believe that's her brother, David G. Latham, Tracy Y. Latham, Jane Doe 1 through 10, John Doe 1 through 10, and Jane Doe 1 through 5. So this type of case that I come across was a civil case. It was in the United States Southern District Court of New York, and it was filed on August the 21st of 2020. That was the submission. Now there are that's when it was filed. Now up here it has a date filed 8/31/20. So it was filed and then it was submitted. So if I'm reading that correctly. So we have let's get into it. Plaintiff's statement of the case versus the 1953 trust defendant. One, the 1953 trust defendant. Two, Harvey Weinstein defendant. Three, Sean Carter, the defendant. Four, Darren and Dyke defendant. Number five, Richard Kahn defendant. The Weinstein Corporation defendant. Miramax LLC, aka Miramax Films, a defendant. Number eight, the Walt Disney Company, defendant. Number nine, Def Jam Records, Recordings, defendant. Number 10, Rock Nation LLC, defendant. 11, Universal Music Group, defendant. 12, Beyonce G. Knowles, defendant. 13, Kanye O. West, defendant. 14, Terrence Thornton, defendant. 15, Black Cube Ltd, the defendant. 16, Vivendi S.A., defendant. 17, Dwayne Carter, defendant. Jean Luck Bruno, defendant. 19, Young Money Entertainment, defendant. 20, G.O.O.D Music, defendant. 21, Shelley Massenberg Smith, defendant. 22, David Boyce, defendant. 23, Robert Kelly, defendant. 25, Marcelo Clark, defendant. 26, Spirit Corporation, defendant. 27, Viacom CBS, defendant. 28, Virgil Abloh, defendant. 29, Quarter Investment Authority, defendant. 30, Tudor Saliba Corporation, defendant. 31, Ghislaine Maxwell, defendant. 32, Parkwood Entertainment. Now, who is Parkwood? Hold on, let me Google this. Parkwood Entertainment, right? Parkwood Entertainment. All right, give me a second. I want to know who owns that. Oh, Parkwood Entertainment is a premier entertainment management and production company founded by Beyonce in 2010. Based in New York City and Los Angeles, the firm specializes in music, film, video, and live touring, including managing artists' careers in the Ivy Park fashion line. Okay, so their key projects include Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, and Black is King. Okay. So that's Beyonce. So not only she's in here, her entertainment company is in here. Okay, so 33, the City of New York City Police Department, defendant. 34, Sir Philip Green, defendant. 35, Sony Entertainment, defendant. 36, John Doe's 1 through 100, defendants. 37, Jane Doe's 1 through 100, defendants. 38, Corporation Doe's 1 through 100, defendants. All right. So, court file, document number 1. Like I said, the submission date was 8/21/2020. The document number 2 was filed 8/31/2020. This is 2 of 13 pages. We're reading from the case number 1:2020 20-CV-07102-LLS. This is the case. Now it states plaintiff statement of the case. 1. Plaintiff number 1 enters this statement as formal statement of the case against all defendants as captioned in page 1 of this statement. Reading for number 2. The Doe defendants, including corporations and their executive or involved personnel, are fully included in this action. The Doe defendants represent employees, partners, collaborators, vendors, third parties, heirs, and related entities whose identities in specific criminal roles have been intentionally concealed or withheld by the defendants to prevent their being brought to justice by being named in this and other civil complaints while intentionally being made unavailable to plaintiffs of this action to avoid redress. Number 3, corporate defendants. Named or identified as doles are accused of aiding and abetting in the facilitation of the unlawful surveillance, spying, stalking, and repeated drugging, abducting, hostage taking, and kidnapping for the criminal intent of SA, abuse, extortion, and exploitation in the same capacity as any person named as defendant and in their capacity as corporations, providing support to the criminal enterprise of the defendants, 1 through 3, as corporate purveyors, facilitators, conspirators, and including by providing money laundering services to route payments to the parties of this large scale criminal enterprise of criminal activity targeting the plaintiffs. All right. So on to number 4. Some Doe defendants' identities are now revealed or not revealed. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that over. Number 4, some Doe defendants' identities are not revealed at the time of filing this statement to protect or preserve any criminal investigations occurring that may be jeopardized or undermined if the plaintiffs reveal certain Doe defendants' identities at this stage of proceedings. So what they're saying is, in my interpretation, and maybe I should start interpreting what it means to me. So in this Charlene Latham versus Mark Epstein, which is Jeffrey Epstein's brother, she's alleging that there are some Doe defendants that are in this, and she didn't want to alert law enforcement if they were doing an investigation. She didn't even want to alert the person that they were under investigation. So that's how I received it. All right, we're going to go to. Oh, and what else I got from that was, like I said, it's early in the case. She's just now filing it. So she didn't want to give anybody the heads up. We're going to move to number 5. Over the course of decades, the defendants established a lucrative but sociopathic criminal enterprise where the defendants engage in decades of human trafficking as assaults and various abuses, including financial and economic exploitation, drugging for abduction, taking plaintiffs number 1 and plaintiffs John and Jane Doe 1 through 10 hostage. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and go to page 3 of 13. This is the court file. It was filed on 8/21/2020. That was the submission, and they said it was filed in the system on 8/31 of 2020. This is page 3 of 13, and it says 3 of 11. Let's go. The defendants engaged in this criminal. Okay, I said I was going to elaborate. Okay, so over the course of decades, the defendants established a lucrative but sociopathic criminal enterprise where the defendants engage in decades of human trafficking, sexual assaults, and various abuses, including financial, economic exploitation, drugging for abduction, taking plaintiffs 1, 2, John Doe 1 through 10 hostage. So what it says here, we were taken against our will. We were given something to knock us out. We were experiencing financial and economic exploitation. There was human trafficking going on. There was sexual assaults going on and various abuses. But this was very lucrative, but sociopathic. And it was a criminal enterprise. But this went on for decades. This is what they're saying, how I'm interpreting it. All right, let's move on to number 6. All right. The defendants engage in this criminal and sociopathic conduct as a form of specific criminal intentions designed as sexual harassment, extortion, physical torture, psychological torment, and revenge, targeting plaintiff number 3 for her refusal to sell her child. Come on, y'all. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? This woman said that they targeted her for her refusal to sell her child. Now, plaintiff number 1 or children, John Doe and Jane Doe plaintiffs to the defendants 1 through 3. Oh my God. Goodness. Okay, so once again, this is the Charlene Latham versus Mark Epstein in the 1953 trust. Yes. This is what we're reading. All right, give me 1 second as I go ahead and continue. So, to me, my interpretation is these people got really down and dirty, and it was about by any means necessary. And like she said, like they said in this lawsuit, that it was a very lucrative business. They were making money. So my question would be, what was your role? Like, how were you connected? Like, how did it be so good to where it got to this point where you wanted to file a civil suit? How long did you know this? Did you go and try to tell the police, or did you, like, what measures did you do to help the situation? So that would be my question. So number 7, when plaintiff number 3 refused to sell or allow the defendants in any capacity to sexually abuse or financially exploit plaintiff number 1 or any of her other children and grandchildren represented as John and Jane Doe, plaintiffs 1 through 10 at any time, the defendants began targeting the family for economic abuses and financial exploitation to not only consisted of drugging the children of plaintiffs 2 and 3 for sex trafficking, hostage taking, and related abuse, but also began exploiting the plaintiffs for thefts of trade secrets, intellectual property, and torturous interference in the plaintiff's career and economic opportunities. That's a lot. So not only did they want her children, they wanted the grandchildren. And it says that they were using substances to um knock them out. Now, this hostage taking, are there any police reports? Did you file any police reports or anything like that? And then when they say the intellectual property, so were these ideas, were these um was this some work that you did and they marked it off as theirs. Then it says torturous interference in the plaintiff's career and economic opportunities. So what I get from that is they went and pretty much blackballed this person. Don't work with this person. They're very hard to work with, or this person could be very dramatic. They cause scenes. So that's how I'm taking it. All right, number 8. This extensive scheme of the defendants was initiated by Jeffrey Epstein. The descendant represented through this action by his estate, the 1953 trust, as revenge against plaintiffs number 3. So, this extensive scheme of defendants was initiated by Jeffrey Epstein. So, what that tells me is everybody was up under him. He was the man. He was the man with the plan. He had the financial. He had the connections. And cross him, you're crossed out forever. That's how I'm receiving that. All right, now number 9, plaintiff number 3 agreed to out of court multi-million dollar monetary settlement in the 1980s, early 1990s to avoid a public criminal and civil prosecution for Epstein's sexual abuse of several of the plaintiff's 2 and 3's children. Plaintiff 2 and 3 share 6 children together: 3 sons, 3 daughters, and approximately 14 grandchildren. Okay, so let me reread this. So the plaintiff number 3 agreed to out of court multi-million dollar monetary settlement. So they said pretty much in the 1980s, early 1990s. So they pretty much said, okay, well, just give us a lump sum of money and we'll walk away. That's how I'm receiving that. So it says plaintiff number 3 agreed to out of court multi-million dollar monetary settlement in the late 1980s, early 1990s to avoid a public criminal and civil prosecution for Epstein's sexual abuse of several of the plaintiffs. So they settled, sounds like. They settled because they didn't want to take their children through the public scrutiny and, the public saying, well, why didn't you protect your children? And, it would have been what it is now. Everybody wanting to know what is going on over there with Epstein and on that island. And I think that if it did go public, we wouldn't be here today because it would have been addressed. It would have been in the records that somebody, was actually fighting for their rights and not going with the program. All right, so number 10. After misappropriating Leslie's Wexner's money to pay the settlement, Jeffrey Epstein devised a scheme of revenge and recovery of the money by targeting the plaintiffs for drugging and trafficking the children for continued abuse at his various orgies around the world, where he was paid large sums by elite attendees of the salacious events and then used the money from abusing the plaintiffs to repay his debt to Wexner. So, by misappropriating a woman's money to pay the settlement, he decided that he was going to have a scheme, a revenge and recovery. Okay, she got the settlement, but how can we get it back? How can we get it back? How can we set this itch up? Oh, she thinks she got away. But little did she know he had a team of people. I mean, a whole list of celebrities. Listen, we're there. Check those flight records. All right, so we're on to number 11. The decades of abuse and sexual assaults were equally to the benefit, entertainment, and economic enrichment of the corporations, as well as facilitated in whatever capacities by the corporations, their managers, and personal, as by any person named as defendant. So, what I'm getting from this is it's kind of like a gambling scheme. Everybody puts in a little money on the pot, and the winner, I guess everybody kind of divides the winnings because from what I'm getting from it, the decades of abuse, sexual assaults were equally to benefit entertainment and economic enrichment of the corporation. So when they talk about corporations in this lawsuit, they have corporations, they have people's names, um what is it their labels, their music labels. So they have all of them attached to this lawsuit. Now it says as well as facilitated. So you have the handlers, you have the in between guys, you have the runners. You remember when Whitney Houston, allegedly, Ray J was her runner. He would go and get whatever it is that to get her where she needs to go, right? Then they say by the corporations, their managers and their personnel, as by any person named as defendant, were attached to this. So what they're saying is, not only these people knew, it was their personnel, it was their managers, it was their assistants. Everybody knew. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get to page 4. All right, so we're on number 12. This action is in the U.S. Southern District Court of New York because it is where the defendant's conspiracies to traffic and exploit for criminal sexual intent, targeting plaintiff number 1, occurred when she was a minor child belonging to and in the custody of plaintiffs 2 and 3. Okay, so now we have a witness. There's a witness that's saying that when she was a minor belonging to the parents of 2 and 3, that there was some nefarious things going on. Let's get to number 13. 13, over the course of 30 years, since at least 1988 or 1989, the defendant did conspire to unlawfully surveil, drug, and abduct for sexual assault, sex trafficking, and other exploitive abuse. Plaintiff number 1 around the world, so specifically through the Southern District of New York. So it says, yeah, this is what happened. They were surveilling me, they were drugging me, and they were abducting for sexual assault and trafficking, as trafficking, and other exploitive abuse. All right, so number 14. This action is entered into the U.S. Southern District Court of New York as it is one jurisdiction in which the defendants abducted plaintiff number 1 to at approximately age 13 to sexually assault and exploit sexually for financial gain. So this individual right here was 13 at the time. It says this action is entered into the U.S. Southern District Court of New York as it is one jurisdiction in which the defendants abducted plaintiff number 1 to at approximately age 13 to S8 and exploit sexually for financial gain. All right. Now, number 15. Defendants Harvey Weinstein, Sharon Carter, Jeffrey Epstein, represented in this action as defendant number 1 in the 1953 trust, conspired together and with other defendants to illegally transact a purchase agreement, giving them ownership of plaintiff number 1 while she was a minor child residing in the state of Illinois at approximately age 5 or 6 years old in the custody of her parents, plaintiffs 2 and 3, with the intent of committing criminal sex acts against the plaintiff as a child and throughout the course of her entire adult life. What do I get from this? Okay. So the defendants, which are mentioned in this lawsuit, Harvey Weinstein, we see where he is. Sean Carter, we see that there was, recently allegations of him misbehaving, misconduct with somebody that was younger. Attorney, um, what's his name? What's his name? What's his name? So yeah, if you look it up, there's recent publications about someone had come forward to this attorney, and yeah, it made the headlines. But I want to keep it on this because it's all going to make sense. Harvey Weinstein, Sean Carter, Jeffrey Epstein. We know for a fact that everybody's talking about the industry, about these parties. I mean, look at the documentaries, for heaven's sakes. And this, I want you guys to understand this. This is like back in the day. We didn't have like the updated cell phones that we have now. We didn't have the all the updated electronics. I mean, they had them in the industry, but as far as like the public, we didn't get them into our hands until they started with the razor phones and stuff like that. That's when we started getting like camera phones and stuff like that. But I want you guys to realize in this era, they didn't have cameras on the red lights. Okay. So technology has changed dramatically from the 1980s until now. Now, the defendants, Harvey Weinstein, Sean Carter, Jeffrey Epstein, represented in this action as defendant number one, the 1953 trust conspired together and with other defendants to illegally transact a purchase agreement, giving them ownership. So what they're saying here is there was some transactions going on. These three were working together to illegally transact a purchase agreement like they were selling property or like they were selling goods. Say if you go into the grocery store or, you know, a candle shop, there's a purchase agreement and giving them ownership, like running a real business, right? So the purchase agreement giving them ownership of plaintiff number one. So pretty much like selling a slave back in the day. Let's not act like they didn't sell the slaves back in the day. Okay. So says giving them ownership of plaintiff number one while she was a minor child residing in the state of Illinois at approximately aged 5 or 6 years old in the custody of her parents. Plaintiffs two and three with the intent of committing criminal sex against the plaintiff as a child and throughout the course of her entire life. So pretty much they were buying or trying to buy, wanted to buy, interested in buying a child, and with the intent of committing criminal sex acts against the plaintiff as a child and throughout the course of her entire adult life. So this seems like she got sold off like a slave. She got sold to master. And whenever Massa wanted to have her, he had her. Why do y'all think we have mixed babies out here? Because back in the day, this is what they were doing. All right, number 16. The defendants 1, 2, and 3 at no time communicated with nor received permission from plaintiffs 2 and 3, the biological and custodial parents of plaintiff number 1, to purchase plaintiff number 1 or otherwise take possession of her at any time as a minor child. So it's given this this is what I want and I'm going to get it. I don't need your permission. We don't need to communicate with you. Somehow you're involved in this some way somehow. That they feel like they have the upper hand or they have power over you. And I'm trying to see where that resonates. All right. Now, number 17, over the course of at least 30 years and longer, the defendant conspired to surveil or stalk plaintiff 1 and 3 in order to track the female plaintiffs with the intent to commit various sex acts, ETL against them. Wow. So, did this person move? But this is over the course of 30 years and longer, the defendants conspired to surveil. So, even if they moved, they were found. Even if you thought that you had just dodged one, here it comes again. Circle, they spent the block. Seems like they were on this mission to capture. That's my interpretation of that. All right, number 18, the defendants 1, 2, and 3 conspired with the various parties and corporations named as defendants to stalk the plaintiffs in order to drug, abduct, and traffic the plaintiff number 1 to various events known as sex parties. Now listen, trigger warning. All right, hosted by the now descendant Jeffrey Epstein, represented as defendant 1 around the world for abuse by elite, high profile, wealthy purveyors held at all defendant number one's properties, including in the United States and Virgin Islands, with the intention of committing crimes against the plaintiffs. So, what I'm receiving is this would be a party, and they would be some way, somehow, they would get there, whether if it was being drugged, abducted, trafficked by these individuals, and they're dragged to these sex parties. And the people that are at these sex parties are elite, high profile, wealthy purveyors. And where this happens at is in the United States and in the Virgin Islands. But when we're here in the United States and the Virgin Islands, it's with the intention of committing crimes. That's how I received it. All right, we're going to go on down to the next page. All right, so we're at page 5. If you're just coming in, we are reading the lawsuit from Charlene Latham versus Mark Epstein and the 1953 trust. Mark Epstein is the late Jeffrey Epstein's brother. All right, 19. At age 13, specifically, the plaintiff number 1 was stalked in the United States. Well, at the age 13, specifically, the plaintiff number 1 was stalked in the state of Missouri, drugged and trafficked to be sexually abused at an event at 9 East 71st Street, Manhattan, New York, 10021 by the conspiring defendants. All right, so let me see what this is. All right. All right. So it says they were stalked in the. So she was stalked, and then they got abused at an event in New York. Okay. From how I'm seeing it. Okay. So number 20, at this piece of property owned by defendant number 1, plaintiff 1 was sexually assaulted by various parties and attendants, specifically Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter. And this is at the age of 13. So she says at this piece of property owned by defendant 1, plaintiff number 1 was SA'd by various parties in attendance, specifically Harvey Weinstein, and Sean Carter. Well, what she's saying is this is the location. I know this is who it was owned by, and it was several people. Here's a few names. 21. The defendants, number 2 and 3, willfully and forcibly raped plaintiff number 1 and committed lewd and sexual acts against and upon her without consent of any plaintiffs at this event held at the Manhattan property. I think we got the gist of that. Plain and day. 22. The plaintiffs were repeatedly stalked, placed under unlawful surveillance, drugged, abducted, and trafficked for sexual assault, abuse, and exploitation at regular interval over the course of the more than 20 years after the attack at the Manhattan townhouse owned by defendant 1. Hey, Norris Tony, how you doing? We're reading this lawsuit, Charlene Latham versus Mark Epstein and the 1953 trust. Mark Epstein is the brother of Jeffrey Epstein. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So she's saying, okay, after the attack happened, I'm still stalked. I'm still being surveilled. I'm still being drugged. I'm still haunted. All right. 23. Jeffrey Epstein represented as defendant 1 conspired with Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter to initiate a system of stalking, surveillance, drugging, abducting, and trying to physical control, abuse, or financially exploit or extort the plaintiff number 1. So, if you think you're going to do this, we got eyes on you. If you think you're going to tell it, we're going to stop you. You need to survive. But guess what? You got a white man that is very well known. You have black man in the room, and you've got the other white man. So you got Jeffrey, Harvey, and Sean Carter. They're saying these people are working together. This is what happened. Is it far-fetched? I don't know. But we're going to keep on reading these documents. 24. This conspiracy was in revenge retaliation. This conspiracy was in revenge retaliation for settling a multi-million-dollar lawsuit out of court with plaintiff number 3's mother for Epstein's crime of sexually abusing plaintiff number 1 and several of her siblings aboard the Lolita Express private jet with the currently deregistered tail number of N908JE and on Pedophile Island, the privately owned Little St. James Island, in the 1980s to early 1990s after being entrusted with the unsupervised care of the children. So, what I'm hearing is okay, so this family filed a lawsuit. So, okay, we going to get you, we going to retaliate. But then she says that it happened on Lolita Express, the jet, and then it also happened on the island. So I'm thinking, okay, everybody get on the jet, it's food and stuff. Maybe they get, and then, once they're up there, hey, give them something, then they knock out, right? Then next thing you know, they wake up, they're at the island, right? So I don't know, but some way somehow the parents trusted these. They were too trusting of these grown adults. Where were the kids? Like, where would if I can't come with my kids, then they not coming to no damn out of no visitation out of no. I'm not letting my children fly over. Now, if it's with the school or something like that, and they have a program with the school, yeah. Their classmates and stuff gonna be there if they go on a trip like that. Yeah, that's okay. But no, just handing my children off to adults, no. All right, let's get into it. 25. The defendant's conspiracy to operate this criminal enterprise targeting the plaintiffs spanned the entire nation of the United States, anywhere the plaintiffs traveled or resided. So, once again, it didn't matter where we went. These individuals were doing surveillance, unwarranted surveillance, stalking, harassing. Anywhere we moved, they found out. We don't get a good night's sleep because we always know that there's somebody watching. All right, let's get into it. Number 26. The defendant's system of stalking, drugging, and trafficking involved a complex, sophisticated criminal network established among and in tandem with all the defendants to traffic plaintiff number one for their abuse, exploitation, entertainment, and criminal intentions of racketeering, extortion, and sex crimes. So they already had a system in place. They were covering every base. They knew how they were going to do it. Let's get the cameras up. Let's stalk, let's drug, let's traffic involve a complex, sophisticated criminal network established. Listen, who's ever going to believe you? Who would ever believe you? I'm a celebrity. And I'm pretty sure they threw it around a lot. I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I'm saying? All right, this is the Charlene Latham case versus Mark Epstein, 1953 trust. If you don't know who Mark Epstein is, this is Jeffrey Epstein's brother. We're on number 27. This complex network of criminal enterprise targeting the plaintiff involved the defendants compensating the co-conspirator defendants for their crimes of stalking, drugging, abducting, and assaulting the plaintiff number one at the behest of defendant 1 through 3. Through use of various business transactions, including but not limited to offering or facilitating employment contracts, lucrative partnership contracts, such as record deals, fashion industry ventures, and other assorted goods and services, such as company perks like luxury cars, housing, real estate gifts, and large sums of cash disguised as record advances, and other legitimate business deals for decades. And maybe that was a lot. So this was like a Fortune 500 business just with criminal activity. Listen, they had employment contracts, lucrative partnership contracts such as record deals, fashion industry ventures, and assorted goods and services such as company perks like luxury cars, housing, real estate gifts, and large sums of cash disguised as record advances. So, you telling me that they are funneling money, but they're so that money can be accounted for, they're going to just throw a label on it. Oh, this is record advance. Very interesting. Legitimate business deals for decades. All right, we're going to go to number 28. The defendants engaged in intentional torturous interference, kidnapping, and holding the offspring of plaintiff number three, specifically plaintiff number one, hostage by routinely hiring defendants to stalk and illegally surveil the plaintiffs and interact with the plaintiff number one under the disguise of befriending her or having romantic or business interests in any of the plaintiffs so they could use the false relationship to facilitate exploitation, hostage taking, and abuse targeting to aforementioned plaintiffs. Okay. Imagine you thinking that you just found, somebody that met you. No, hey, this is a cool person. Not knowing that they were hired to do a job, to stalk you, and to legally surveil the plaintiff and interact with the plaintiff under the disguise of befriending. That makes me scratch my head. Mm. So, befriending or having her romantic or business interest in any of the plaintiffs so they can use the false relationship to facilitate exploitation. So, it's given, let's put y'all together because it looks good. And, we need to reach a certain demographic. We need to let them know, like, hey, it's safe. We got a football player, or hey, we got a basketball player, or hey, we got a movie director. It's safe. Child, that's a lot. All right, number 29. This deception to commit torturous interference was done regularly to allow the defendants ease of accessing the plaintiff's private life and spaces when plaintiff number three began violently demanding the defendants one through three. Defendant one is representative of the deceased Jeffrey Epstein, immediately cease and desist their extensive harassment, stalking, and kidnapping campaigns against her and her family. So what I'm understanding is nothing was done like in a courts to get them to stop. And so it sounds like they were paying people off, behind the scenes. Hey, this person gonna come to you with this story, da 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 da. You know, don't move forward with it, and here's your payment. So whether she moved to um a next state over or whatever the case may be, or two states over, they were still going to find her, and they were still going to find a way to negotiate a deal. What would you do if you had $50,000 in your face and they telling you, can you just keep this on the low low? Let's get into it. All right, so number 30. Plaintiff number three was made aware of the defendant's activities by numerous witnesses who refused to participate in the criminal operations after being solicited for hire to partake in the criminal operations and receive very lucrative compensation packages, um, including large sums of cash and high profile entertainment contracts, such as high visibility marketing and promotion opportunities. So what it says is, what I'm understanding from this is plaintiff number three was made aware of the defendant's activities by numerous witnesses who refused to participate in the criminal operations after being solicited for hire to partake in criminal operations. Pretty much what I just said. People, like I said, what would you do if you had $50,000 sitting in front of your face saying, hey, I need you to roll with this. Hey, I'll give you 50,000 right here. If you could just let this slide, hey, if you do this, hey, I'll give you, listen, do this and I'll get you want to be in entertainment? I'll get you some contracts. I'll get you visible. Listen, my marketing and promoting. Listen, we'll get you some opportunities. Some people went for it, some people didn't, in my opinion. All right, let's get into it. Number 31 says, when informed of the conspiracy targeting her and her minor children, the plaintiff, number 3, did take numerous and repeated action to demand the defendant cease and desist all illegal and abusive conducts. Wow. So when she found out, hey, I'm not tripping, something is going on. Now let me take more action to get this to stop because it's illegal and it's abusive conduct. All right, let's get into it. We are on page 732. The defendants 1 through 3, however, engaged in establishing a thorough network of criminal operatives to facilitate their enterprise of spying, stalking, unlawful surveillance, breaking and entering, torturous interference, numerous sexual assaults, sexual battery, financial exploitation, physical abuse, emotional harm, psychological torture, sexual harassment, lewd conduct, kidnapping, human trafficking, and extreme abuses for decades, specifically targeting plaintiffs 1 and 3 and their offspring rather than cease and desist their criminal enterprise. So they were stalking this family. Anything. It's just like, if I can't have you, nobody else can. And it's our way or the highway. And we'll do any and everything. We'll try to come and get your money, go through your family. Oh my God, it's a lot. So, yeah, I mean, she was battling, they wanted her child. All right, we're going down to number 33. This criminal enterprise, orchestrated by the defendants, escalated beyond the sexual assaults, abuse, harassment, and emotional harm into intense and extensive financial exploitation of other plaintiffs 1 through 3, and their offspring, Jane and John Doe plaintiffs. So when we talk about the extensive financial exploitation, it's like you're going to move. You're going to spend all that money up. You're not going to be able to sit back, enjoy that money. You're not going to be able to go on a nice, decent vacation and come back and think that everything is safe. That's how I received it. Now, 34. The defendant's repeated abduction and hostage taking of the children of plaintiffs 2 and 3 caused them emotional harm and caused financial damages in the course of regaining possession of the children. So they would steal the children and then they would have to fight and go and get them back. Wow. That's how I'm interpreting it. All right, let's get into it. Lucrative career contracts in professional sports, entertainment, and other industries were forfeited in exchange for or consequence of redressing the crimes targeting plaintiffs 2 and 3's shared 6 biological children, including but not limited to plaintiff number 1. What? So pretty much these career opportunities were going to happen in professional sports, entertainment, and other industries. All right, let's get into it. Lucrative career contracts in professional sports, entertainment, and other industries were forfeited in exchange for or consequence of redressing the crimes targeting plaintiffs. Number two and number threes share six biological children, including but not limited to plaintiff number one. 36. The plaintiffs could not be used for sex trafficking exploitation, the defendants exploited the plaintiffs' economic pros, prowess and unique abilities to pick stocks, predict business market trends, create very lucrative trade secrets, create lucrative intellectual property, and develop very profitable business concepts and consumer products in a diverse array of industries. Wow. So they were going to hit them either way because it's like, okay, who do we know that works over here? Who do we know that's into all this? All right, we need to get on the phone with them and see who their connects are, and we need to block. Mm. All right, number 37. The defendants orchestrated a criminal enterprise valued at billions of dollars by the trafficking and economic exploitation of the plaintiffs, for which the trade secret thefts and related business intellectual property crimes played a significant role in the profitability of the criminal enterprise, and such crimes are being addressed in separate actions in the appropriate jurisdictions. So this didn't just happen in one, it's several areas and spaces. Wow, this is a lot. All right. We got three more pages, guys. We are getting through this. All right. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe. We are reading the Charlene Latham versus Mark Epstein 1953 trust. If you guys do not know what that is Jeffrey Epstein's brother. And there was a lawsuit filed in 2020. And we're just going over it. All right. So let's get into it. So we're on page 838. The defendants began stalking and surveilling the plaintiff, number one, as a child to misappropriate trade secrets, intellectual property, and other business or creative works of the plaintiffs over the course of at least 3 decades with no intention of stopping, despite repeatedly being demanded to by plaintiffs one and three. So they did business with these people and their child. So some way, somehow, they did business with somebody, their child got involved, and this has been an ongoing battle with abductions and things like that. Now we're on to number 39. This financial exploitation became very lucrative for the defendants, where hundreds of millions to billions of dollars have been collected, earned worldwide by the defendants through their decades of exploiting the plaintiff's creative and intellectual abilities while under the intense or constant surveillance of the defendants, who used audio, visual, and conspiring to befriend, date the plaintiffs. One and three strictly to collect private information or trade secrets and intellectual property in the furtherance of this criminal enterprise, expanding beyond the described sex crimes. So it seems like there were like some informants. This is like giving an informant. Let me get in there. Let me get the information. And yeah, this isn't beneficial to you. This is going to go against you. All right, let's get into it. 40. The plaintiff, number one, is seeking civil redress in a separate complaint and jurisdiction for the extensive trade secret infringement, economic espionage, economic terrorism, and assorted extreme financial exploitation and abuses committed by the defendants against the plaintiffs. So they're saying, they went overboard, they've crossed the line. This is what's going on. This is how we were affected. These are the crimes that they committed against us. All right, so number 41 says plaintiffs have only mentioned the defendant's worldwide abuse and unlawful use of trade secret intellectual property infringements, abuse of plaintiffs 1 and three's likeness, and the development and worldwide marketing of numerous high profile singers, rappers, entertainers, and entertainment projects, including but not limited to musical albums, music videos, television shows, ETAL, and this action to provide scope of the abuse endured when the defendants were unable to drug, abduct, kidnap the plaintiff number one for repeated drug, sexual assaults, or hold hostage for ransom by the defendants in their criminal enterprise. Yeah, this is deep. You're being bullied and harassed. Your image is still being used. Like you're being put on things and you have no say so. But because you were sold to the highest bidder. All right, let's get into it. Number 42. Hold on, did we read number? 42. This action captioned in the header filed in the U.S. Southern District Court of New York is specifically redressing the decades of sex crimes targeting the plaintiffs and their offspring. So not only did you do them, then you got their child. All right, let's get into it. So, number 43, when the plaintiffs were able to prevent the drug abductions for sexual assaults against the plaintiff as a minor child and well into her adulthood, the defendants 1 through 3 responded by engaging in extreme forms of harassment that they conspired with the other defendants to initiate or facilitate. Trauma, trauma, trauma is what that says. All right, to me. All right, number 44. This harassment includes, but is not limited to, sexual assaults, feticide, sexual harassment, verbal abuse, psychological and torture, harassment, such as gaslighting and paying defendants to collect sexual data or sexually explicit content featuring the plaintiffs 1 and 3 by engaging in sex acts that would be classified as sexual battery in various jurisdictions on hidden cameras. So, y'all were setting, oh, well, take a camera, record it. These are hidden cameras. So they were probably doing some lucidious acts on that, situation. And I'm not even about to, I don't like to judge people because when you're in your bedroom, you're two consenting adults that agree upon consenting to engage in your activities. I don't get the right to tell somebody that, but for somebody to have a hidden camera, you're violating me. That's a total violation. I don't know that it's there and you're recording me. Mm-mm. I don't like that. All right. The number 45, the harassment includes creating pedophilia where the plaintiffs number one and other adult plaintiffs were recorded in various states of undress as minors in private spaces and when drugged and trafficked aboard the private jet owned by defendant number one, as well as other spaces for sexual assault where plaintiff number one and other adult plaintiffs were being presented as child prostitutes to the clients of the defendants. Now, this makes me feel uneasy because we've seen like viral stories of, on planes and somebody that stuck a camera in the bathroom and they're taking pictures and recording and doing all this. I, oh my goodness. It just, oh, No privacy, like just invasion. But then they say they were creating, recordings, and they had child prostitutes and they had clients. Clients. All right, let's get into it. 46. All right, number 46, plaintiff number one submits a statement of the case to obtain justice to disrupt the defendant's ongoing actions to obstruct such justice while retaining and or generating profits collected from the abuse of the profits of the plaintiffs as outlined above and throughout the detailed formal complaint pending submission into the case record by deceiving all parties. So pretty much, they want to bring this to the forefront. This person has deceived us. This person has recorded us in most vulnerable positions, especially like, my underage children. And they are presenting them as prostitutes. And they have a client list that's buying. 48. I meant 47. Defendant's attempt at hiding all involvement in the defendant's sophisticated scheme of operating a criminal enterprise of human trafficking and trade secret that has left no secret. Oh, let me read this over. Defendant's attempt at hiding all involved and the defendant's sophisticated scheme of operating a criminal enterprise of human trafficking and trade secret theft has been ongoing for more than 30 years, and the ongoing criminal conduct indicates the defendant's spirited refusal to stop the conduct and their interest in continuing to enjoy the lavish profits from the criminal enterprise that they report to the public and government as a legitimate income, business operations, or financial economic gain. All right, number 48. Plaintiff reserves the right to transfer the action or complaint to alternate jurisdictions as necessary in the interest of justice and amend the action to include the full correct names and identities of any additional plaintiffs, including children, grandchildren, assorted relatives, and associates of the plaintiffs, to add the defendants whose names, identities have been withheld or made unavailable at the time of this action as listed as adult defendants at the time of filing the statement. So pretty much what they're saying is, at the time of court, I don't mind coming into court, giving you every Jane Doe, John Doe, the defendants, including the children, the grandchildren, associate relatives. I'm not hiding anything, but I want to make sure that I'm making this very clear that this is a very serious issue and I need some assistance. All right. So, prayer for relief. 49. For these reasons, as outlined in paragraphs 1 through 48, the plaintiffs are demanding pecuniary, pecuniary damages in the amount of $500,000. Oh no, $500 million and punitive damages or general damages in this action. Come on, let's do this again. For these reasons, as outlined in paragraphs 1 through 48, the plaintiffs are demanding pecuniary damages in the amount of $500 million and punitive damages or general damages in this action submitted in the United District Court of the Southern District Court of New York. 50. Plaintiffs demand court ordered permanent cease and desist restraining orders to be issued against all of the defendants to end any and all of the defendant's decades long and continuing criminal conduct as outlined in this action, where the defendants have made a sociopathic, decades long scheme of human trafficking, criminal sexual assault, financial exploitation, psychological torture, harassment, sexual harassment into a criminal enterprise, targeting the plaintiffs 1 and 2 by alleging the defendants 1 through 3 have created a purchase agreement for and are maintaining ownership of plaintiff number 1 and plaintiff 2 and 3's other offspring, some of whom are still minors. Child, they saying they are running illegal organization, physical torture, harassment, criminal sexual. This is sociopathic. And they created a purchase agreement and are maintaining ownership of plaintiffs number 1 and plaintiff 2 and 3's other offspring. It makes you wonder who's getting paid behind the scenes, who's getting paid up to continue to keep letting this go on, you know? Let's get into it. 51. Plaintiffs demand court order permanent cease and desist with restraining order issued against the defendants to be extended to include all members of the plaintiffs' families, including children, grandchildren, extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc., and the plaintiff's business partners, clients, friends, and romantic partners, such as a spouse or unmarried lovers, anywhere in the world, due to the defendants having shown a very specific interest and propensity for targeting with criminal intentions, including but not limited to of harassment, spying, stalking, torturous interference, financial exploitation, and criminal sexual intents. The people and businesses closely associated with the plaintiff. So saying, listen, they can't talk to me. They can't talk to my auntie, my cousins, my brothers. No, get no story. Leave my friends alone. If I go into a restaurant, don't go behind me trying to ask people, what did she order? Okay, so that's what I was getting from it. All right, so 52 plaintiffs demand any and all fair and equitable relief as available to award by the court to redress the damages the plaintiffs sustained through the decades of trauma from the exploitation, sex crimes, child abuse, sexual assaults resulting in feticide, sexual harassment, financial abuse, economic damages, discrimination, child sex and human trafficking for profit, numerous and repeated drug sexual assaults, sexual battery, torturous interference, and relationships, both business and personal, unlawful surveillance, spying, gross invasion of privacy, cross country stalking of a minor, cross country stalking of adults, psychological torture, repeated kidnapping, abductions, hostage taking, and emotional harm, ETAL outlined in the civil action. The plaintiff s- sustained these damages that were caused intentionally or consequentially from the numerous crimes and unlawful acts willfully committed against them by the defendants and the defendant's reckless and wanton disregard for the law and perpetrating a lucrative criminal operation targeting the plaintiffs, despite the plaintiffs' numerous and repeated demands for the defendants to cease and desist their extreme and egregious criminal misconduct since at least 1988. The defendant's extreme conduct has continued in various forms throughout the year 2020 with little to no intention of the defendant's willingness to stop their criminal conduct without lawsuit of their arrests on criminal charges to totally disrupt or disband the global criminal enterprise they've created over 3 decades. Now let's get into it. I declare under the penalty of perjury that above statements contained in this filing in the United States District Court in Southern District, New York, are true and understand the penalty of any false statement signed in the county of Dallas, state of Dallas. This was August the 20th of 2020. Y'all, this is a lot. This is definitely a lot. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and stop sharing that. So this was a lawsuit that Charlene Latham had against um oh, hold on, we got more. Hold on, we got more. Okay, so after she declared and signed everything, she did um send in a document. So it's pro se intake. So she's doing pro se. August 20th, 2020. Attention, USD NY Court. Pro se intake unit, room 200. Regarding Latham versus 1953 Trust, Harvey Weinstein, Sean Carter, and other defendants, court action plaintiff's statement of the case. Dear court, please allow this correspondence to explain that. Oh, hold on. Let me put this up on the screen so you all can see it. All right, so we'll put this up on the screen so you all can see it. All right, so it says, Dear Court, please allow this correspondence to explain that I, Charlene Latham, one of the plaintiffs, submitted the enclosed document plaintiff statement of the case to initiate the action and obtain a case number. The pending formal complaint will be submitted separately. Additionally, I formally request permission to use the electronic case filing system. I have experience in using the ECF system for other jurisdictions and did begin completing the required training course to use the New York EFC system. I have technical experience and legal experience to be permitted use and consent to receiving all case communication electronically via the email provided below. It is requested that all communication be sent electronically as the USPS mail delivery system has been extremely disrupted and almost inoperable in use for me to receive mail in traditional formats for the past 2.5 years. The USPS failure to deliver or process mail for more than 2 years is a separate but ongoing issue that will also make it necessary to use the ECF system. Thank you for your attention. And so she signs it. All right. And so she did mail some things to the court and she did provide that also in the lawsuit. So what we're doing is we're just going back through information of people that were a part of this whole Jeffrey Epstein, the whole list, the celebrities that were involved, the celebrities that were trying to disassociate themselves, like, oh, I wasn't there, he's not my friend. But that lawsuit says something different. And we already see the only name that I didn't. Oh, so they do have other defendants on there, but this is like a sex ring, an organization that individuals were running, and over 3 decades, people are billionaires, but they fondle money, to get to where they are, you know. But anyhow, I just wanted to come by and break the story. We'll have more stories like this. I'm going to be doing more after dark. It comes to light with Queen Tulsa. And this is pretty much, this was a story that a lot of people wanted to keep in the dark, and we're just shedding some light on it. So I want to keep this as an ongoing conversation. If you guys are interested in this topic, please let me know in the comments. I definitely want to thank Norris Tony for sliding through, and all of you that are in the bushes. Yes, we do want to thank you. So this concludes our broadcast, and I want to thank you. My name is Queen Tulsa. You knew that. We'll see you on the next broadcast. So long.
Promise you like. And remember, if I say it stops here, it stops here.